Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Scum series. Today's episode's a bit of a special effort. It comes out of, I would say, a little bit over 2 hours worth of recorded footage. And I've done a lot of skipping. I wasn't particularly impressed with my prior luck in trying to locate a car, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick with this, and I'm just going to, travel where I've got to travel, do what I got to do, and I'm not going to say no until, I've made some progress. So I'll leave it a bit unspoiled, but this slightly longer than normal episode will get you a little bit more caught up with where I am currently. So strap in, prepare for a lot of jump cuts, and let's see how this all works out. I couldn't in good conscience leave town without raiding the weapons shop. Retrospectively, though, I wasn't that impressed with what I found here, so, judge for yourself. Now, I did cover all of the garages and all of the ones that I missed, and honestly, there was almost nothing of any real use in there, so I elected to just keep running. So my end goal here is to go to the racetrack, and I'm going to go via the windmills because there is the potential for a few car spawns and other useful things up by the windmills. So I'm going to go and hit those up, and then press on to the racetrack, because there is also vehicle spawn locations down there that I remember previously. I still haven't consulted a Scum map for the previously established, it's a bit cheatery. So I'm just going off memory from past experiences. Granted, those experiences, certainly down this end of the Scum map, aren't very current. So I'm fully expecting to find a few surprises, not the least of which is this boat. And one thing you're going to notice is I'm going to keep coming back to this boat because the boat fuel tank is quite big, and it's, what am I going to say? It's free fuel. So, yeehaw for finding this little fella. Now, I'm not going to lie, through the fence from a distance, with the way the shadow was, I thought that was a complete motorbike. And I wasn't too impressed when I got here and found the front wheel was missing. So, my poor luck with, scum-based transportation continues. Alright, we finally come across a car, but honestly, other than the fact that it's got a driver's seat, we probably didn't really pick up much luck there. It's got no wheels, and I can't even remember if it had a battery in it. Let's have a look. Yeah, no. So, not a lot of useful stuff on that car. Still, you know, if we find something with lots of wheels and no driver's seat, we know where to come back to. I was eyeballing maybe making a run over to that bunker, but then I remembered there's a really good chance that that's one of the abandoned ones, and yeah, it's not worth the hassle. Still, in persisting, we've found this little fella. Two wheels on it, and a driver's seat. That's a lot more complete than anything we've found so far. Yeah, and I think this might have been Scum trying to show me a little bit of pity. Yeah, it's a wheelbarrow, and had I not been halfway up a mountain, I might have thought about taking it, but there's not that much kind of loot to be had. Certainly nothing that I'm directly looking for at this stage, so I made a mental note of where it was, and I used it to momentarily reset my, lock up to 100%. And here's a Laker. And it does have a bit in it, so it's got a battery. It's got a battery. Yeah, it's got a battery. Well, hello there. We've got another Laker. And this one has two wheels and no driver's seat. Ah, what a nice pretty sunset and getting rained on and running out of light. Here I'm pushing pretty much as quick as I can to get through the nighttime forest and to get to the racetrack as soon as possible. And here we are, arrived, safe and sound at the racetrack. And of course, game couldn't offer me another Volkswagen or Laker. It had to give me a mostly useless Rager. So, yeah, joy. The racetrack's kind of a big area, so I kind of wanted to keep more of this in without so many jump cuts. So the bits I've kept in where there's not as much happening, I thought I'd just do a modest speed up on it just so you can see, what's around. All the stuff that I had to deal with, which initially actually was just that little guy. And also, what other things I managed to, spot along the way. Okay, see if you can work out the moment where I just about fell off my chair. Did you guess just then? Because you were correct. We found ourselves an intact motorbike. Wow. Tell you what, this is going to speed things up for me quite a bit. And I didn't just say that because the footage sped up as well. Haha. Now that we have a more efficient way of getting around, well, time efficient if nothing else, and we kind of have enough wheels to make a, three-wheeled vehicle of kind of two different options, really. We've got enough wheels on Volkswagens at this stage spread across the island down here, and we've got enough wheels on the couple of Lakers that we've seen. In both cases, though, we only end up with three wheels, but hey, that's still kind of workable. Except the one thing we haven't come across up to this point is a jack. Or if I did, I accidentally left it behind because it's been in the forefront of my brain that I need one. And I am 100% certain that to date, I haven't come across one. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Yeah, in typical Scum fashion, now that I have a working vehicle, it wants to throw me nothing but wheels for that vehicle, even though I don't actually need them, because the vehicle has already got the correct number of wheels on it. Thanks, Scum. We hate you too. Oh, hark, what is that I see before me? Is that a carjack? I think it is. Alright, we now have ourselves a new mission. And that mission is to get as many wheels together with whatever vehicle is most complete, already that is, and make ourselves some transport. Well, funny thing about that, we are not even a third of the way through the cut down footage. Anyone want to hazard a guess at the sort of issues I was running into during the rest of this episode? If you got some ideas, maybe drop a comment down below and see what you think it could have been. Now, it never occurred to me until I was listening carefully to the sped up footage, but the sound of a puppet wheezing and breathing heavily when it's sped up 2 times sounds like an asthmatic squirrel. Funny the things you discover in the world. Now, the little guy here is kind of stuck in place in the window. He didn't want to drop down. He couldn't seem to get inside. I thought I'd better, put him down because I didn't want him summoning a horde. Not after the success I've managed to achieve in this area. I thought I remembered seeing a car spawn sort of in around there somewhere. I thought I might have a quick look, but nothing evident. And given I've got, this motorbike basically ready to go, and apparently I wasn't that rested because I failed to notice that the bike was already at 100%. But, I'm not that observant, and I'm happy to admit that. So here I am trying 2 different kinds of repair kit, and of course they're not going to work. The bike is in full repair. So I admit defeat on that, and I start filling it up with as much fuel as I can get my hands on. I wasn't going to search these trailers, but then I thought, hey, it's the racetrack. There's a reasonable chance of any kind of fuel can spawning you know, pretty much anywhere in the area. So I thought I would try my luck, and sure enough, the first place I looked had a fuel can with a tiny bit of fuel in it. Alright, momentary gap here. I had some personal messages come up and it was loud and it was obnoxious. And Rob's note for the future is try and mute your, you know, message type services while you're recording. You know, because it saves some time with edits and all that other good stuff. Well, I thought, well, if you're going to search one or two trucks, I might as well search them all. I really was keen to get on the road and, you know, start putting the rest of the car together, but then I knew what a pain in the backside fuel can be at the start until you've got a bit of money in your account. So I thought, look, I'll spend another, 5 or 10 minutes here. I'm going to search everything I can search. Whatever fuel I can come up with is, I'm prepared to wave all the white flag once I've, milked all of that lovely juicy petrol from everywhere at the racetrack. I am very happy with the number of screwdrivers I've been finding while I'm out here at the racetrack. They're going to come in handy quite a bit down the track. I would have liked to have gotten a yellow handled screwdriver at some stage, but, these red ones that are 2 or 3 out of 3, they're plenty good enough for now. Now, there was a substantial chunk of footage left on the cutting room floor there. I had the world's worst case of indecision in terms of whether I was going to move on or not. In the end, I did move on, and we've got our bike. Our bike is, of course, very loud, but it's a bit of a necessity at this point. I'm just going to stop by the Rager to drain whatever tiny bit of fuel there might be in it. Well, I'm going to join Ollie, in a uniform dose of shouting at the screen, because it's been a couple of days since I recorded this, and I could have sworn blind that I did actually drain the fuel out of the Rager tank. But as you're about to see, give or take some moments of waiting for my brain to, click over a bit here, I completely failed to drain whatever little bit of fuel may have been in the Rager. Luckily, this didn't come back to bite me later, but still, Alright, well, I cut a really sizable chunk out of all of that. I'd pretty much made up my mind that this particular Volkswagen was going to be the one I was going to try and get up and running. I mean, honestly, it's got two wheels, it's got a driver's seat. I mean, what more could you ask for? Well, clearly another wheel or two, but it was the most complete vehicle I'd kind of come across relative to the other vehicles I'd seen in the area. So I was pretty determined that, yeah, all right. It seems like every time I play a solo, Scum game, I end up with a Volkswagen. But, I was so confident that this was going to be the vehicle, I proceeded to dump absolutely everything I could spare that I didn't need into it so that I could then have the room to go and pick up a wheel or two, steal some more fuel out of the boat, and come back here to try and get this little baby up and running. Alright, and here we are back at our good friend the free petrol station, otherwise known as a boat, and we're about to, fill up the remaining space in our jerry can with some more fuel. And there you go. See, boats are really handy for early game fuel, particularly since it's free. Yeah, the boat's still got enough left in it to probably nearly fill the bike up again. So I make a mental note that there is more to be had, and I figure, given the current plan as it sits in my head, that I'll make a swing by here to, top off my fuel supply on my way back to the Volkswagen with, whatever spare parts I'd been able to pick up. And it's amazing what a little bit of text coming up on your screen can make you do. Well, it made me go over the river and wait an inordinately long time for this cargo drop to come out of the sky. Don't worry, I changed the settings so I don't need to wait that long anymore. And as you can see, I'm going to end up with a full 20 minutes to pick all of these locks. It's not a problem for me at all. I normally only takes me 2 to 5 minutes usually, and that's allowing for some level of tiredness and ability to be uncoordinated at the most inappropriate or appropriate of times. Now, if there's one thing that completely justifies the autocraft function, it's doing exactly this. Oh my god, how much effort and clicking this saves. I would argue that in recent history, it's the single best thing that the Scum devs have done. I have some mixed feelings about the jerry can, but we'll come back to that one in a minute. Heh, key cards. Yeah, look, one day maybe, but I'm not in much of a hurry to solo a kill box at this stage. Yeah, shotgun rounds are useful. The shotgun, well, you know, it's shiny and new, so the trader should give me something for it. Yes, and I know I've got gloves on, but these locks are not that hard to do. And welcome to the moment that completely changed all of my plans. I'd forgotten to check if any of the Volkswagens had an alternator on them. And I couldn't remember for the life of me whether any of them had a useful battery on them. So having a battery and an alternator, a Leica alternator, I decided that I didn't want a Volkswagen anymore. And I am now going to, you know, have my best chance at having a Leica instead. You know, I've picked up a car battery in real life. I've done some interesting things with car batteries in real life. And I'm chronically aware that they're not exactly light, yet Scum car batteries weigh nothing. I'm not quite sure how that works. And you'd be right in thinking, with the amount of time it took me to work out, that putting the katana on my back as opposed to trying to keep it in my backpack was definitely the obvious move I should have arrived at several Ice Age earlier. However, yeah, the play session was getting quite old at this stage, and here's our next little surprise. I was deciding to do a little bit of a lap of the rail yards just to see if there was any other vehicles around, and I found this little fellow. And if you check the map here in a minute, you'll realise that this little fellow was only about 100 metres from where I spawned, which means I could have had this car many gameplay hours ago. Yes, the irony is not lost on me. First and last lesson of Scum: don't assume anything, and if you're going to search for stuff, be as thorough as possible. Now, I'm not completely mechanically inept, but I'll be completely buggered if I could not figure out where the alternator goes on this Laker. I couldn't see it. All of the interacts that I was clicking on didn't hint that there was an alternator, either one to remove or would let me install this one, until I stood on top of it and just interacted with the engine. So, anyway. So, here we are back at the very first Laker I spotted. And we are just here to steal a wheel and take it back to the other Laker so we can have a three-wheeled Laker. And welcome to a bug that has persisted for a while. I started service on this. I was standing on this side, but it decided to throw the jack over the other side. So thanks for that. But the bug itself is that it won't let you interact with, so, repair or remove or replace tyres on anything other than the side that the jack is on. So, unless the devs are planning on including, the ability to put the jack down once, put the vehicle into service mode, and then, have a DLC to let you edit, the wheels on both sides, maybe they could work on, fixing that kind of issue as well. Just saying. And now, as we approach the end of this episode, I want to thank you for watching. If you've liked this slightly different format where I've crammed a lot more into a smaller time frame, just leave me a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be apprised of future releases. My name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you for watching, and make sure you have a wonderful day.